There was one deer we shot at like 23 times or something between like 6 different people.
Have you heard that song, The 30-Point Buck?
Yeah,
was that the one maybe that you guys just couldn't
No, this was a doe. That's the thing. It wasn't even a buck.
Ike Wynter, we are here for the Midwest Legends podcast, and you are a Midwest legend now.
I don't know about legend, but appreciate being someone here in the Midwest. Yeah.
I mean, I know there was and Richie did a story on this, that there was technically another draft in Wisconsin, like, decades ago, but this could be, at least in our lifetime, the only NFL draft, at least in Green Bay, Wisconsin, but maybe in Wisconsin, and you were a big part of that.
Yeah, it was, pretty surreal to be asked to be a part of it.
So I think, to me, that's a Midwest legend.
Yeah.
You're humble, though.
For that month, I'll say it was a very cool experience being a Midwestern artist and all that, yeah.
And so one of the things, like with the Midwest Legends podcast, is what I'm trying to get is, I know I believe you were born in Milwaukee, and raised in Milwaukee. And so, I was born and raised in Wisconsin. I was born in Eau Claire, moved to Sheboygan, moved to Green Bay, been around a bit. But basically, my experience of growing up in Wisconsin, in the Midwest in general, is that there's just like a lot of good stories. You meet people, whether it's at family functions, get together with friends, bars, things like that. There's just kind of these stories that get passed on about legends. Someday that might be probably already your story, because people are like, hey, did you know the guy that created all that? He was from Milwaukee.
Yeah.
So that's the purpose of this, is like we're just getting kind of stories as much as we can, stories that maybe you have. As a Midwest person, we're awful very humble, or at least you are, and you say, hey, I'm not a legend, but you are. So one of the things I wanted to ask you too was like, do you have any memories, and we can even start like as a child, like like classic Midwest memories? And I know you and one of the things too is like you and your brother had a business together in Milwaukee, right? So you've got,
my brother and I grew up heavy in like the scrap industry and recycling industry. So very like niche and weird. But I grew up like at scrap yards and stuff. So like the dudes running the scrap yards and the guys weighing everything, that was just like kind of my built-in like uncles and people that I looked up to. And they just kind of looked out for me. I remember like when I decided if I was or was not going to college, like that was a conversation I had to have with that scale operator, which is so weird for somebody like not knowing Milwaukee or a blue collar city, but like you kind of get to just know blue collar people. My dad is a home remodeler, so like going to hardware stores, like the managers there, they were again kind of like built-in uncles. When I think of like Midwest legends or people I grew up like worshiping or like, really loving, it was definitely the Packers. That was a big part of it. And when I was at the draft, I got to play in a celebrity football game with Amon Green, which was like, I got to call my brother and tell him that I met Amon Green and played football with him and got to catch passes from him. And him and I were just geeking out because that was our childhood. I was born in 93, so like Amon Green in the peak of his career in the early 2000s was just like, we were 8, 9, 10 years old and playing football in the backyard until the Packer game started and come inside and watch the game. And so I definitely think Green Bay Packers growing up. I'm trying to think like who else.
We talk about Midwest legends and someone like yourself that was part of making the art for the draft. Like that's super cool. Or like I'm Amon Green, or that's like a super high level. But even the folks that are, for example, just you knew them, maybe people in your community, maybe other people in the stuff, like that person that, like you're asking somebody, the scale operator for advice, but that's the way it goes, because you knew that person, you trusted him, and you're like, this is a person that I feel like based on their life experiences and the kind of the knowledge that I see they bring, like they're going to, maybe they don't know the exact decision for me, but they're going to have some good input, right, for me.
Again, they're like built-in community members and people that you trust. And I grew up in an entrepreneurial household, so like my dad wasn't home until like 7, 8 o'clock every night. So like the people you saw and interacted with throughout the days were also kind of your built-in parents and family and stuff. I don't know. The cool thing was I grew up, so I was in a band for a long time. I was in a band for almost a decade before the whole junk removal business, but kind of like intertwined with it. So growing up, Andy Hurley, the drummer from Fall Out Boy, is from my high school. So kind of seeing his picture on pretty cool. Yeah, the Hall of Fame there, and hearing that legend when Fall Out Boy was blowing up and getting big. And it's like, oh yeah, the drummer went to your high school. Is like, that was just kind of it seemed like a myth at first. It's like, there's no way he went to the Falls. And then there was this band in Milwaukee here called Maraschino.
Okay.
And they're about 10 years older than me. And when my band was starting and they were playing Summerfest, they were playing the Rave, they were playing all these huge stages and touring across the country. And we were just like, dude, this is it. And like, that was such a cool thing to look up to and see them on the Summerfest stage. But they were really good friends. My brother was their tour manager. So they were like, they would stop by and just come hang out, and like they were the big rock band in town. And my band's first show, we played we were 14 years old, and we just put up a white tent in my parents' backyard and played a concert, and the whole band came. And we're just like, we're rocking out and like loving it. And like at 14 years old, and you have the band that you look up to, and they're watching your band's first show. And then like 3 months later, they asked us to open for them at the Rave. So I was 14 years old, and you're opening for, the biggest rock band in town.
That's pretty wild.
Yeah, just very surreal experience. Like it's just so different in my head now because like they're just 40-year-old friends of mine. And but when I think back to 14-year-old Ike, like, yeah, that was everything. Like listening to their albums and
open up at the Rave at 14 years old. Like
December of 2008. Yeah.
That's pretty
cool.
So
it was a trip, yeah.
And then, so were you guys metal band? Is that what, if I remember?
Yeah, we were like a hardcore metal band. Yeah. So definitely, I mean, they were like rock and they were Summerfest appropriate and stuff. We were definitely more of a niche subgenre of music that we loved.
Right.
But we got to tour across the whole country.
That's what I was going to ask you.
Yeah, we played a ton. We played in 41 states over like 5 years of touring.
Wow.
Sleeping in a van every single night. But like when we eventually broke up, we played 2 last shows because La Crosse was kind of like our second hometown.
Yeah.
There was a venue on 3rd and Pearl called the Warehouse in La Crosse downtown. So when we announced that we were breaking up, we played one last show in Milwaukee and one last show in La Crosse. So, I mean, our Wisconsin roots were definitely strong, and there was people from all over the country who knew Menominee Falls, Wisconsin, because our band, that's where we promoted where we were from. So there'd be people in like Nashville and Florida and all these people that knew Menominee Falls, which is such a, weird niche thing, but it was cool. So
yeah, that's cool. I mean, you guys are kind of, as you're traveling too, the words are like, this band's from Wisconsin.
We had a hometown pride for sure. We, one of our first t-shirt designs was that 70s show. We recreated the cover of it. With the Wisconsin license plate and all of us in a van, like all of us in our van freaking out. We made a Milwaukee Brewers spin-off shirt. We definitely took the Wisconsin pride with us. And honestly, I was like the smallest sports fan of my band. Like everyone in my band was huge sports fans.
Yep.
So everywhere we went, it was just, we were playing basketball, playing football, talk about the Brewers, Packers, very Wisconsin centric.
That's pretty cool. I went to a concert once, and the guy was wearing, the drummer had a shirt and it said "Drink Wisconsin." This is like a long, because Drink Wisconsin is more popular now. The brand's been built. And I remember I was talking to him, and he's like, "Yeah, I blew the doors off." So he had the sleeves off, and somebody had given it to him in Wisconsin, and then he just was rocking it for a while.
Probably didn't even. He was like, "Oh, this is probably just a one-off shirt," but now it's a bigger brand and stuff. Yeah,
yeah, and that was years ago. So it's cool though. Like obviously you guys are out spreading the Wisconsin word, and then things get out from Wisconsin to people. And
and we started touring 2011 to 2015, 2016. So yeah, I mean it was before like Drink Wisconsin and like more social media brands and presence. Kind of had a footprint and stuff. So we were just a band kind of doing our thing and putting Wisconsin on the map wherever we could. Yeah.
Did you guys you van it around, or how did you guys do it? Yeah.
So I was always a dude that had the van because I was also doing junk removal as a teenager and high schooler. So I always had the van and trailer. And we slept in it every single night of tour. We built bunk beds in it. It was quite the setup, and there was 5 or 6 of us on tour at all times.
That's pretty cool. Well, and I think sometimes this is what I believe is that it feels like in the Midwest we like to we generally drive places more
fully,
right?
Yeah.
And so you're out there. I mean, obviously as a band, you're driving, you have to drive, but you're in the van, you're making the van work, driving around, doing the Midwest thing.
And like the other day, I was having a conversation. Me and a friend were talking about going to Nashville. And it was just very great that both of us were just like, yeah, we'll drive. Like, we're not like, there was no question of one of us being like, oh, should we fly or whatever. It was like, no, we're going to drive.
All right.
Everything is within driving distance unless you're talking to go to LA or Vegas, And that was such a trip. Like my family growing up didn't travel. Like we never took vacations because we just came from a entrepreneurial household. Like
Yeah.
everyone just works. So when I turned 18 and we started touring, I remember calling my mom like 3 days into tour. Our first tour ever, we played Indianapolis, then Akron, Ohio, and then the third night was in Buffalo, New York, and we went to Niagara Falls. And I remember calling my mom at Niagara Falls. I'm like, Mom, do you just know you can just like drive to New York and like go to Buffalo? Then the next day we're in New York City. I'm like, Mom, you can get to New York City in like a few days. What are we doing here? So yeah, and then like that really opened up my mind. Like, I've been to almost every state now and driven every highway and every road in this country. And like, yeah, just being from the Midwest and Wisconsin, like you can just get anywhere. It's so cool.
The crazy thing I know, because I've always driven a lot too, and I was like you, I didn't really leave the state of Wisconsin when I was a kid. I got to leave one time because my aunt and uncle said they're going to drive like their minivan to Florida.
Yeah.
And my cousin was about my age, so they're like, hey, you can take on that. And that was like a wild, we're like, when we stopped in Nashville halfway, right?
Yep.
And I couldn't believe it. And so now I still drive a lot of places, but I've been on so many roads so many times that even if I'm like headed from here like to Nashville, right?
Yep.
It seems like kind of homey and familiar, like going down through Illinois,
Fully,
like
yeah.
right? It's
like
kinda
I would
weird.
look forward to a road trip right now where I had to go to Nashville or something. Yeah.
It's kind of, and that must be, maybe that's a Midwest thing, but I feel the same way. I'd rather drive and I look forward to it.
Yeah.
Right.
My family, we finally took our first family vacation in 26 years, 2 weeks ago. And it was in Savannah, Georgia. And I was literally, until like 3 days before, I didn't have a flight. Like I was just going to drive it or do something. I was so debating just driving it to Savannah, Georgia, but I ended up did flying. But yeah, it was just, I don't know. I think it is just a Midwest thing. I want to believe that it's more of a Wisconsin thing.
It could be.
But who knows?
Yeah, it could be. I mean, like I said, I was born and raised in Wisconsin. Everybody I knew, my relatives included, we just drive there.
Fully,
Always
yeah.
drive it.
And growing up in the music scene, like, yeah, touring and stuff, that's all you do. And you look forward to that day when you can turn 18 and kind of hit the road and start touring. That's just like, that's all we cared about in high school was like getting out of high school and just touring. That was all.
Well, it's cool that you had your start in a van, and then you guys were also like kind of living in it, sleeping in it.
Fully, yeah.
And actually, when I was talking to Charlie Behrens, when he went out to LA, he had a minivan and he slept in it and used it for,
Yeah. To sleep in it to save on rent, save on everything. Yeah.
Right. And he said, and he was telling me too that the opportunities that were created because he was like I think it's called a PA, but basically on helping out at the set, right?
Yep.
And so then because he had a van, they would give him more stuff to do because he could just carry it. So he's like, I think the van will like help make
having a van in LA, yes. Like your friends will hit you up for everything for sure.
So both of you guys, you might owe a little bit of credit to the vans in your life, right?
The funny, I mean, every time we would come home from tour, we would take the bunk beds out and the benches out, and we had these plywood inserts that sat perfectly on the floor, and that's what I used to scrap and do junk removal.
Yeah, look at how many different things you're doing with it, right?
And I would make a good amount of money like scrapping at freaking 18 years old. I was making like 30, 40 bucks an hour if I was doing it right. And then the day we had to go for tour, just convert it back into a band van.
So at some point though, you and your brother went into business together, right?
Yeah.
And you guys were like removing junk. That was kind of your business, like.
Yeah, so pretty much he was getting home from a deployment from the military.
Okay.
He's still in, but that was kind of his, once you're deployed and come home, you're not going to get deployed for a few years again.
Yep.
So he was coming home from a deployment, and I was kind of ready to leave music. So he came home and was just like, hey, are you ready to start that business that we've kind of been always talking about? And we're 10 years apart. So like when I was like getting out of high school, he was getting married. And when he was getting deployed, I was at there was just never the right time. So finally, I was 23 and he was like 32. And we kind of just had clean slated our lives and literally kind of quit everything we had going on a Friday. And then Monday morning, we started our business. And
how was it working with your brother?
I mean, you say it with a smile on your face because I mean, it's the best and worst thing working with family. You know that they have your back and you can trust them, but also there's just so many emotions and things tied up into like black and white decisions.
Yep.
So it was cool. I mean, we loved it. Our mom ended up working for us for about 4 years. So she retired through us. So like having your mom as an employee when you're 24 years old is wild.
That is cool. So like, I mean, you probably realize that my brother left Army, joined and worked with me.
Okay.
And then my other brother who's 10 years younger. So my younger brother, 2 years, he
Yeah.
joined. Then my younger brother's 8 years younger joined.
Yep.
And then my mom also came in, and she still works for us. So
Okay, yeah. So
I don't know if it's a Midwest thing, right, or a Wisconsin thing, or what it is. I don't know.
Everyone's just willing to help out, and it's kind of like a help your neighbor, but it's like, hey, we're running a legit company now,
Right.
so like, but you still just get involved.
I always thought it was cool because of the fact that, like, I mean, coming from the entrepreneurial background and just the level of work that you put in for your artwork now is when you're trying to run a business, start a business, the amount of time and effort it takes.
It's all day, every day.
Right.
Yeah.
And so when you can also spend some of that time with like your brother or your mom,
Fully, yeah.
it's
Like,
it's fun that way. I mean, there's stresses.
I don't want to say that you don't have to like go to people's birthdays or holidays, but like you already spend 24/7 with your mom and your brother. And our dad, he never joined the business, but he was like around when we were
Sure.
rebuilding our building and stuff. So yeah, like you kind of kill two birds with one stone of like hanging out with family and spending quality time when really that just means you're working together. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's all the ups and downs and challenges of working with a family. And eventually I parted ways and wanted to do my art because I was, we started the business at 24, or I was 23. And by the time I was 24, we had like 20, 25 employees. We had like 4 or 5 trucks. Like we had a big business here in
Yeah,
Milwaukee.
definitely.
And I was 24 years old and it was cool and sick. But like by the time I was like 27, 28, I was like, hey, like, is this the rest of my life? Is this what I'm doing? Like, I just saw the future of like, okay, like I just do this for the next 20 or 30 years and then buy a house on a lake and have a boat. And I don't know. I was like, there has to be another career change or adjustment or something. I was like, there's more to this.
Well, the cool thing is you figured that out early on where you had time, like you had opportunity. You weren't
Yeah.
waiting until you're 54 or whatever. And
Fully,
you're sitting there
yeah.
going, man, I wish I would have really looked into my art, right?
Fully. And it was during the COVID era, which a lot of people took a second look at their life and dove more into hobbies, which then sometimes turned into careers. And, COVID just changed a lot of perspective for people. Like, what do I, because jobs are just like letting people go after so many years. You're like, oh, I'm disposable.
Yeah.
By my job or whatever. So it forced people to pivot. So between COVID, my relationship was ending and just a handful of things, I was like, let's try like doing something else and outside of this junk removal thing. So.
Well, and I had heard somewhere too that you had some inspiration. Like I think there was an artist, and I can't remember, somewhere in Europe, right? Was there an artist in Europe that was an inspiration?
There's a very cool wood artist that I found in Europe. I still look up to him to this day. What he does is just wild. So
Well, and so I was gonna ask you too, when you were, I mean, obviously you had some like the creative just desire because you were in a band and those things were going on, but like when you were young, growing up in Wisconsin, was there someone or whether it was an artist or somebody that you met that helped like inspire, like, hey, maybe just like led you down the path or inspired you to think about art as like just even a hobby?
kind of. I mean, my parents are very resourceful,
Yeah.
if that makes sense. Like, we've built a lot of cool structures and cool art installations just out of junk from the side of the road.
Ah, very cool.
So it's not like they would never call themselves artists. We just kind of take stuff and repurpose it in a
Yeah.
very cool way. In my parents' backyard, we have this giant pergola that's just like built. It's like flawless. Everyone loves it. But like literally it was just like a weekend project because my dad was bored and like they wanted to put it back there. And now my parents have a hobby farm. They rehab this huge barn, turned it into like this wedding venue and like, but it's decorated like crazy. Like everyone who walks in there is like, what is this place? Like it's like an art museum installation.
Who created all the art there?
It's stuff from the side of the road. My parents just found it.
So it sounds like even though your parents would probably refer themselves maybe as like they repurposed, but they seem to be were actually somewhat artists, like a little bit.
Artists,
right?
we're all
they
artists.
Wouldn't claim it. Yeah,
yeah. My family and my parents and I, we blend like engineering and resourcefulness and art.
That's
if that
cool.
makes sense.
Yeah,
like,
no, it does. That's very cool.
yeah, our engineering minds like know like how puzzles go together, what's kind of missing somewhere.
Yep.
Yeah, it's not. I don't know. It's a stretch saying like the artistic brain, but like it's a weird niche that we kind of think in all a certain way.
Right.
So yeah.
Well, and that's fun. I mean, it's like a family thing, and then you've obviously taken it to a different level, which is
Yeah,
super
and
cool
my
too.
parents looking at it, it's funny now because like they definitely appreciate and think that doing stuff with the NFL, like the draft was cool and that put a big smile on their face. But they'll be the first ones to walk into my studio and be like, hey, like, why'd you do that way? Or like they'll be
So critique
critical
you.
of it. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm like, but I love that. Like, But I think they do, because my whole family, like my uncle was a garbage man. My great grandfather was a recycle scrapper in Milwaukee here.
Wow.
So it's in our blood
Yeah.
to pick up stuff and repurpose it. I think now like an NFL deal at the draft was like my whole family was just like, okay, like I don't say finally someone turned it into something because my brother's business is very successful, but like to have the recognition and appreciation from like a national organization like the NFL and being featured on national news a couple times within my career now, it's like my family back home in northern Wisconsin is just like, this is a trip that you're doing the same thing our whole family has always done of picking stuff up, but you just found a cool way to promote it. So
yeah, it's like accumulation of like all the efforts and things and then you took it to this certain level.
And all my aunts and uncles like are antiquers and junkers. Like we all thrive in it. So it's definitely a family thing. And
well, I think it's cool too that you go back to, you say, was it your grandpa or even great
grandfather? My great grandfather owned a scrapyard in the 40s here in Milwaukee.
That's cool.
We have a photo of him at my shop. Yeah. So it's a trip.
Yeah, can you imagine if he saw like where it went at this level, right?
And it's a trip. My other grandfather on the other side played in the NFL.
Really?
So like the NFL deal like means a lot more to our family than you realize. Like when you have the full picture. And when the NFL hit me up, they had no idea that my grandfather played. Yeah.
That's a cool story though.
Yeah.
That's
And
awesome.
So he was drafted in 1944 to the Buffalo Bills.
Really?
So 81 years later now to be a part of a similar event. And I never got to meet him or anything. So like it was just super cool revitalizing his story and his name through all this. So.
And then obviously you did the Buffalo Bills thing, right? Like part of it.
So I did, yeah. So doing like the Bills piece was the most, emotional piece of the draft for sure. And my mom seeing it, and then like a dude in the Midwest here, he hit me up. He was from Michigan, Cream City Sauce. He's a kid from here, but he moved to Michigan and he's making custom jackets now. And he offered to make a custom jacket for my grandfather.
Wow.
So it has my grandfather's name, number. He researched all the team logos, put them all on as patches. And then he drove to my house Easter Sunday this year. And we showed it to my mom and surprised my mom with her dad's jacket. And I got to wear it at the draft.
That's so cool.
So I think that's a testament to the Midwest. Like he just hit me up on Instagram. He's like, hey, I want to make you a jacket. And I was almost like, hey, what's the catch? Like what are you going to charge me? Or like, do I have to post about it? Or like, he's just like, hey, I just want to make you a jacket. He was just clear cut about it. They spent like 50 hours making this jacket for me. So it meant a lot to me, but then to my parents, it was just like, next level. So that's cool. That Midwest culture for sure.
Yeah.
Just being nice and neighbor and just, I don't know, looking for opportunity to help and promote something cool going on. So,
well, and I think too, all areas like of the United States have people that are like hardworking and like gritty, but I think there's something in the Midwest, and I think even in your story, like when you originally were doing the band manager, like you just look for opportunities, right? Like you took the opportunities, and like I was listening where you had like realized they were going to be in Milwaukee, might be at that lake, and you just went with it, right?
Yeah.
And so did the guy that reached out to you about the jacket, right?
Yeah.
Just went with it, and
Fully.
I think it's almost like that, just that folks is like, yeah, man, I could just go talk to a normal person. That's what we do, right?
Fully, yeah. And when I toured, it was kind of eye-opening because I was 18, 19 years old and was able to like, it was my first time being out in the world and realizing how the world worked outside of high school and stuff. And I remember meeting venue owners or promoters that like would be refusing to pay bands because of X, Y, and Z. And like in my head, I was like, this would never happen in the Midwest, And like, I just got to learn different parts of the culture or the country and culture and just see how the world operated outside of the Midwest. Because here you can just kind of trust everyone and your word is your bond.
Yep.
I've had that conversation. My best friend is from Minnesota and we moved to LA together.
Yep.
And we had a tough time like in LA because we would meet friends and be like, hey, let's hang out on Sunday and go do this. And then like us saying that, you're holding yourself accountable. Like you're doing that on Sunday.
Right.
And then Sunday would roll around and friends just like wouldn't text you back or be like, oh yeah, no, sorry, I'm doing something else now. And you're like, what happened?
Right.
And like, but LA culture is just like so flaky like that compared to the Midwest here. So, I don't know. I think when you meet people from here and have those conversations or moments and the light bulb goes off, I like thrive in that moment that two people know exactly kind of you're thinking the same thing.
Yeah. And I think it's fun, you go out and you bring your culture other places. And then what I always think is really interesting is so I was in Florida not too long ago, and some just randomly some guys like spotted and they knew who I was. And they're from Sheboygan.
Yeah.
And it was like what are the odds, right? And so I grew up in Sheboygan, and then we're just like shooting the breeze about Sheboygan.
Yep.
And it was kind of like I love people in Florida, I love people in California, whatever. But it was kind of fun just to like kick it like for a half hour with some people from Sheboygan, right? Like
yesterday, my brother texted me. He's in Washington D.C. on a family trip, and he ran into a guy wearing an Unfinished Legacy shirt. And that's why I woke up to yesterday. I have a photo of my brother and this random dude. I'm like, oh, is he from DC? He's like, no, he's from Minnesota. And I was like, that's sick. And I will say, like, Unfinished Legacy, like, they're very close friends of mine, and seeing their brand all over the world now, but especially when you travel, like, that's such a cool family moment.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like I can run into anyone anywhere wearing that, and you just have such a respect and love for each other because you kind of both. It's more than a T-shirt, and the branding of it is just incredible. And especially seeing it in different parts of the country is just the coolest thing ever. I love that there's like that uniform, if you will. Like that's what I view as our Milwaukee uniform is the Unfinished Legacy brand. So,
well, I think too with Milwaukee, this is what I've always told people, especially because I live in Western Wisconsin now, so I spent a lot of time in Minneapolis. It's a little bit different than Milwaukee, and I try to explain like. It's a big city, Milwaukee, but it's got this really blue collar feel.
Fully.
It's you don't know until you've been there, but like I love it in Milwaukee, but it's cool because it's a different big city vibe, right?
fully. Yeah. It's take Minneapolis and just shrink it by, a tenth of it, and it's like it's just got as much art and culture, but it does have this blue collar, down to earth grittiness.
It does.
There's no, I don't know. It's not uppity. It's just like it's right where it needs to be, I think. So
Yeah, I think if you're out and you haven't been to Milwaukee, you got to check out Milwaukee. It's great.
It's very, I have a lot of friends that visit from LA and other places that I've been able to travel to and work through. And now when they come here, they're just like, dude, this is kind of like a hidden gem, and we kind of like it. Like, there's no one that's come here and had a bad weekend hanging out at my studio or whatever. So, I don't know. And it's also like, you can do the whole city and understand the whole city in a weekend or a week. Like, I'm not telling anybody to move here because I don't know if it's a good long-term play, but like coming here for a weekend or a week, you can do the majority of the city and see so much of it. Whereas other cities, it's like, oh, you only get to a little pocket and don't really know what the whole culture is and vibe is. So
I don't know if you have anyone like any particular like good hunting story or adventure that you recall.
I grew up hunting until I was like 20, 21. And I will say that the only reason I stuck with hunting for so long was that the family culture of being around my cousins and uncles. And, when you're 11 years old and everyone else they get to go out in the morning and go hunt and you're not of age yet to go, you're just kind of like, it's almost more important than driving in Wisconsin. Like being able to hunt with your family is like such a freaking, I don't know, just like an honor.
Yeah.
And you finally get to do it and you get to be a part of the stories and whatnot and live it. But yeah, once I was like of age where I was just like kind of diving into my own time and with my band stuff, and I was like, I just need kind of my time back. And hunting was a huge passion of mine, but I mean, opening day is like a holiday here more than Christmas is. Like my dad, that's the only day of the year he doesn't work is opening day for hunting, and my brother as well. Like they just treat it like freaking gold.
When I'm up we have cases up, like especially in northern Wisconsin, the judges call it Holy Week. Like nothing.
Oh yeah,
Nothing's getting scheduled.
Yeah, like Easter is not Holy Week. It's hunting week. I mean, as far as like stories and stuff, there's like some. I think it's all just like family lore and funny things that happen. I mean, my brother. I think the story that still gets brought up is my brother lost his phone in the middle of the marsh, but he was like 15, 16 years old, and his phone fell out of his pocket, and then it's like 3 feet of just sludge and water, and they're back in the marsh looking for his phone. There was one deer we shot at like 23 times or something between like 6 different people. Just I don't know, just funny stuff like that.
Was that the elusive? Like, have you heard that song, "The 30-Point Buck"?
Yeah,
was that the one maybe that you guys just couldn't
No, this was a doe. That's the thing. It wasn't even a buck.
Yeah,
my family we hunt to eat the meat and to harvest, not to have the big buck.
Yep.
Just like random stories like that, or just like harping on people. I don't know. Our family's very loving and just it's a big family. Like there's 57 cousins.
Wow.
Very Wisconsin.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So, that's really the only time of year you get to see a majority of people. So yeah, I don't know, just tons of endless stories. But I mean, it's just a whole different like generation now. Like that was me when I was 14, 15 years old. But now like all my aunts and uncles are, kind of age where some aren't hunting now. And now my cousins are not picking it up or diving into it. So yeah, I don't know. It's interesting.
Yeah, it's crazy how, like there's all those things, especially as a kid, and then you look back and you realize how great the memories were and the times were, right?
Yeah, and when you're in those moments, you're like for me, I was like not crazy about hunting. So I was like, oh, do I have to go hunting this week? But you don't realize that, yes, it is about spending time with family.
It's not just the hunting, it's the family thing.
Fully.
It's a tradition.
Yeah. I think that's with anything in life, especially in your teenage year, probably younger than teenage years and 20s. Time with my band, like me and my 5 best friends got to travel. Like we've been to 40 states together.
Yeah.
Like most people can't say that, like instead of our college years of living in a dorm together, we got to travel the country together. And yeah, you just don't realize that those moments aren't about playing shows or about hunting. It's about spending that time with those people.
Yeah. Very true.
So, and now looking back, like, yeah, I wish I could go back to 15-year-old me and have one more day of hunting with like the 20 core people.
Right.
But it'd be impossible to pull that together now. So
yeah, I think about that even too. Like a lot of my family's from farms, and we used to like go to like my grandparents' farm, and everybody be there
fully.
And at the time, as a kid, you're kind of like, oh, do I really like to be here? You enjoy it while you're there, but now like you almost give anything to have one of those days again, right?
Thanksgiving Day at my grandma's house, we'd give anything to go back to one of those for sure.
But I always tell myself, like you can't always recreate the past, but at least you had those memories, like, and now you fully appreciate.
Fully, yeah. And the reason you reminisce about it and want to go back to it so bad is because it meant so much.
Yes.
And that's what love is, and that's what memories are. And now, different phases of life, it's cool to be conscious of that as people start their own families and have their own kids. Like, oh, like now I know why this is going to be so important to start traditions or do whatever with your family, because that's your childhood growing up, and your kids are going to look back on that someday. So yeah.
Very true. Well, I was kind of skipping around here a bit. So obviously, you had the just crazy awesome opportunity for the artwork at the at the NFL draft, the draft in Green Bay. Like I grew up in Green Bay, so I like cleared my schedule, went back there for the draft because I'm like, I'm not missing this. I got one of my kids to come with me, and I was like, we got to experience this.
Yep.
And I met a lot of my friends because I grew up, I went to high school there. They were there. It was just awesome for like that part of Wisconsin and Green Bay. But like you obviously a huge part of that. And the cool thing is, that they picked for that someone from Wisconsin. Yeah. Awesome. But and I know you've done things like you did artwork for Mike Tyson. You've got a lot of cool stuff on your plate. Do you have anything else like Midwest planned or maybe you can't tell us? I don't know. Maybe it's skunk work stuff. I don't know.
I live very in the moment. Like whenever I do a lot of branding or alignment stuff, it is, I think, Wisconsin first, and I think Wisconsin brands first.
Yeah.
I would love to do a piece like for Culver's,
Yeah, definitely.
And people that might look at my social media presence be like, dude, you're doing stuff for Mike Tyson in the NFL. Like, why would you do Culver's? It's like, you don't realize it's like so local and cool here.
Yeah, yeah.
And also too, like my brand is Milwaukee and Wisconsin. So like, why wouldn't I? Yeah, I don't know. I don't really plan out a whole ton in advance.
Okay.
So many opportunities just pop up daily and weekly. And with art, it's kind of like, I just spend so many hours doing what I do that I can't really like tee out months and months in advance because so many new opportunities come up. I haven't spoken about it, but like literally 2 weeks ago, EA Sports hit me up and said, "Can you do the cover of Madden?" And it was the worst. I can't do it in my entire life.
Yeah.
They call me and there's like the cover comes out in 10 days. We can't tell you who's on the cover yet, but are you able to do a piece of art? And I was like, oh, it's hanging in my head because that was my whole childhood.
Yep.
And I just had other commitments.
It's in the game, right?
And my first family vacation in 26 years. And I'm like, what are the odds of the timing? So yeah, like, I don't know, opportunities like that come up often in my life. So I kind of have my next project or two lined up, but nothing beyond that. I'm doing a live art thing at Summerfest this year.
Very cool.
So they hired me as like a live performer.
Yeah.
Which is cool that they have a budget and a plan for that now, because it was always just like, so pretty much like the bucket dudes out front always drumming.
Yeah.
Summerfest now decided to get a budget to pay them to be inside the grounds and like perform during the day. They have like a fire breather, twirler person.
Yeah.
There's different people doing live art. So they approached me this year saying, how can you do live art? And I was like, I can't cut the wood while I'm there or like make the piece of art. But what I'm going to do is like pretty much make the piece of art beforehand and not glue it or nail it, and then redo the puzzle daily. Yeah.
That'd be cool.
And depending on how long it takes, I might do like multiple spots throughout the day.
Yeah.
But it's gonna be every weekend. So I still have to build it, and we're a week out from Summerfest. So like that's where my life is at. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you're busy when you got to turn out EA Sports, right?
Dude, yeah. The hardest no in my life. And I texted him the day of. I'm like, dude, congrats on the cover release today.
Yeah. You stay in touch with them and get more opportunities.
Fully. And he was just like, hey, we'll do something together.
Yeah.
We like your art. And they approached me and there's like, we like your art, we like your story. We think, you could be a cool accommodation to our brand. And like just hearing that, like I take myself out of 32-year-old Ike and put myself in 15-year-old Ike.
And you heard,
freak out, dude.
We all grew up like with the EA Sports, just in the game.
It's like, in the game, yeah.
And now they're like, hey, by the way, can you do the artwork?
It's almost like it hit me harder almost than the NFL email.
Yeah.
Like, I will say that. Like I got to do a piece of art for my favorite band growing up like a month or two ago, and that hit me.
That's cool.
Probably harder than like the NFL was cool for sure, but I don't know.
What was your favorite band?
It was like this. I have a handful.
The one that you did the art for.
The one I did the art for. It's this band called Chiodos.
Okay.
They're like a more niche hardcore band.
Sure.
But they're the reason we started playing shows and music.
Yeah, they got you into it.
Yeah.
Inspired
the big band I eventually want to make a piece of art for is Green Day.
Yeah, that'd be pretty sweet.
Growing up heavy in like the skate culture, listening to music all day, every day, and then being in a band in my teenage years and growing up around that, like music was just everything, and going to Warped Tour was everything. So I've done so much in the sports world. I would love to just also pivot and do some in the music world. Like that's a big initiative for myself as well.
Yeah, do something for Green Day, like the band that was like they still are huge, but like they were so big back then.
90s they were huge. Every decade they've been huge. And I had older brothers, so I was able to catch on the wind and get into their earlier stuff. And then American Idiot came out, and I was in 7th grade, which is like a perfect time to be listening to a brand new album coming out. And even to this day, like they're just crushing it in their 50s and like 40s or 50s. But they just like look and sound iconic and just treat the show so iconic. They're just these legendary rock stars in real time.
Yeah, they just keep bringing the energy.
Fully.
Like it's full respect for it. And I know even like I have kids and they like Green Day.
Yeah.
Which is that's like says a lot about Green Day, right?
And my parents know it because that's all we listened to in the backyard when we were skating. So like that is like I have a few moonshots in life.
Well, I hope you get that one. That's awesome.
Making a piece for Green Day. I already know what I want it to be. So yeah, that'll be an initiative at some point. I'm not in a rush though.
Yeah, but it's on that list.
Yeah.
So very cool. I think I know we've got like we're in a space too where we had an office here. Now we've got this big office space at the corner of Milwaukee and Chicago. So we'll have to see if we can get something there because it's a real cool space. I don't know if you're familiar with it. It used to be like a knitting factory. Like
okay.
And it's just an awesome space, but it's wild because it's like one of those things where we have a 2-story office there now.
Yeah.
And I never dreamed that we'd have a 2-story office.
Yeah.
And so it's just that in itself is crazy. But when you go in, the feeling is just amazing. It was like a Zizzo marketing group had it before, and they really did some cool stuff with it. Now we're in it. So while we fixed it to be up like a law office, it's still got this like art kind of marketing vibe to it that it's just great. So like we need to do some cool stuff with it. I know you're a busy guy, so we'll see if sometime you have opportunity to get something.
Cause got a big old head in there somewhere.
Or anything cool. Cause like I think one of the things with it is like with Milwaukee, that's our Milwaukee office. There's a lot of people here that have born and raised in Milwaukee, and then like having a Milwaukee artist like get something in there,
it for sure.
and just put something in there, and then it's just one more thing to have that connection to the community.
Fully,
And like I never lived in Milwaukee, but when I lived in Sheboygan, like my dad and my my brother that's 2 years younger than me, we used to come down and go to Oak County Stadium. So I have like a lot of good memories of just coming down here.
That's sick.
And just like, getting there early, trying to get baseball cards signed, snake balls and stuff, and so like my memories of Milwaukee are that. And it's like, again, family memories, like just really good times because
fully. And you're going to the big city.
Right.
And I appreciate that you said like, now we have this 2-story building here, and like think back to 15-year-old you coming to a baseball game, like, hey, you have a 2-story building in Milwaukee now, like a place that you'd like worshipped, coming down to for a baseball game, and now you get to own a very cool building in the city here. And like, I get that we're like in our adult phase of just like, yeah, that's the next step of my business or whatever, but like, it's kind of surreal when you think about that.
And the other thing was, so like we're partners with the Brewers now, right?
Yep.
And so last year, as a part of our partnership, we get to pick somebody to throw out the first pitch. I picked my dad.
Yeah.
So my dad, like that was one of dude, the best thing ever. He brought a bunch of his like childhood friends because they all grew up listening to the Brewers and Bob Uecker and everything.
Fully.
And to see him there, like it was like he went down and dug. He's like talking to the player,
right. Like he's just living his freaking moment, dude.
He was like 68 or 69 last year. 69, I think, and he went back to like 7-year-old him or whatever,
fully,
right? So that was pretty, like that was so cool for me.
And I'm sure all the things he did, like raising, kids and like, the hardships and struggles, and I'm sure financial, whatever.
Yeah.
Raising you guys, and like, that's a cool pinnacle moment of like, hey, it all kind of paid off. And I have a similar experience. Like my mom is my go-to person whenever I've been able to do cool stuff. So like first pitch, bringing her on the field. She was just like living her best life. Yeah.
That's
it was
so
great.
cool, man.
So,
yeah.
just different trips and stuff. Her and I went to New York together. Pretty much anytime I can bring somebody along to things, my mom is just my first choice of who gets to come along. So yeah.
Dude, that's fun. I mean, I think that's one of the things that I've always really enjoyed. Like I have a good relationship with my mom too, and my dad as well, obviously. But like to be able then to, as an adult, to like incorporate them in stuff that you're doing.
It's so cool.
It is.
Yeah.
It's like like you said, like it's like that full circle of like, now you spend time with them as a kid. Now as an adult, you're back there with them.
You can treat your parents. Yeah.
And you're having a good time with them. But yeah, maybe it's a little more on your dollar this time. Than
yeah, right. Yeah. My mom, unfortunately, she had like she's just moving 24/7. She's such a busy bee.
Yeah.
But she had a surgery like 2 months ago, and she was out for like a month, just sitting on the couch. But it was during draft time. So like, she got to watch 4 days of the draft and see my artwork and stuff, but it was really cool. My sister, who kind of was like, she's 11 years older than me. So when I was born, she, was pretty much my mom and just like raised me and babysat me 24/7. At the draft, her and her husband came up, and I was able to take them backstage and show them the whole production of the NFL draft. And I walked my sister onto the stage, and she was just like, oh, this is so cool, dude. And like, she's very much in like art and design and commercial, productions like that.
Yeah.
So she walked in and she's like, oh my God, like look how they engineered this place and look how they brought it all together.
Yeah.
And then my brother-in-law too. Like it's cool. I don't know. Like I'm very blessed and fortunate to be able to show people that helped raise me and hoped that I was going to be a part of cool experiences. Like, my parents and my sister bringing me to baseball games or whatever. Now I get to like bring them into my world a little bit and show them just very cool cornerstones of kind of things that I'm doing. So, and that's again, like back to the whole hunting thing. Like it's about spending time with that family. Like the draft, walking my sister through that tunnel onto the draft stage was probably one of the coolest parts of the draft that I'll remember. So it wasn't about. I mean, the players slapping my artwork was a very cool experience. But the family tie-in was also cool.
I did see that when I saw the players slapping your artwork. I thought, like obviously they're showing respect to their team, but like every one of them players, like.
If I tell you what was going through our heads during that, I was standing next to the CMO of the NFL.
Yeah,
and it was he introduced me like 2 seconds before the draft started. He's like, "Hey, my name is I think it's Timmy or Tommy." I think it's Tommy. And it was the first time I met him. He's like, I'm the CMO at the NFL. Like, thanks for doing this project.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, appreciate you, man. And then the second player comes through and slaps it. And him and I and the whole creative team were just looking at each other, just like, all right. Like, we were just like geeking out.
Oh, yeah, man.
Yeah, there was that 30 minutes. I was so nervous, but also excited. Like, you just didn't know what to feel. I told the NFL, I was like, hey, specifically, if the Carolina Panthers were like the 17th pick,
yeah,
if they would have slapped that one, it would have potentially broke. That was the most like brittle and fragile one.
Oh,
I gave them a heads up of which picks, if they slapped them, would break.
yeah.
Which,
I know.
which is something I never would imagine in my life at an NFL event, that I would have to like consult the NFL creative team of what could happen. The Dolphins, the Carolina Panthers, because it happened in like the first, it happened like twice in the first like 8 picks there.
Yep.
I
remember saying it, and I was just like,
yeah. And I started going through my head of which pieces were the most brittle and fragile. And also too where we placed them on the walls. So the Carolina Panthers was lower, so they didn't have the opportunity to slap it up high.
Yep.
If you notice, all the ones that got touched were the top row, which is 16 of the teams.
Yeah.
So like all those logistics, that 30 minutes of my life, or 3 hours of my life, was just so crazy.
Well, and it's just wild that, okay, obviously that's already like a big part of the draft, but then it becomes even a bigger part because now the players just start spontaneously, like 16, 17 slap that, and you're like, oh man, how much more can I get involved in this thing, right?
I do have it on camera that the NFL creative team leans over, and there's like, you realize you just changed the entire scope of the draft forever moving forward. Like the 3D art coming off the wall, there's like the players are interacting with the art. Like we didn't know that this was something that the draft needed. So I'd imagine in Pittsburgh next year, they're going to have art protruding off the wall.
And that's from you, right?
It's insane.
You created that, dude.
It's insane.
That's out of Milwaukee, Wisconsin.
Right?
You came here. That's so awesome. And what a time to be at that point, because if it had been a couple years later or a couple months later, like you wouldn't even, because when's the draft going to happen? And so like you hit it right at the stride at the right time.
Yeah.
And now not only did you get to do that for the draft in Wisconsin, Green Bay, Wisconsin, but now there's a very high likelihood that you've impacted the drafts for, going forward.
And I think, we'll see what comes up throughout the year once the season rolls around, if they revisit those draft videos and stuff, as those players start playing. I'm sure they're going to show the draft videos again. And then next year during the draft, we'll see. The NFL still owns the pieces, and we haven't come up with a solution of what to do with them.
Sure.
I think it'd be cool. There's a handful of options. They probably will get auctioned at some point.
Sure.
I want each of the first rounders to sign them. That'd be so cool.
Oh, yes.
Right? But also, too, imagine next year in Pittsburgh, they have the whole draft set up the stage, but in like the atrium. Like imagine Lambeau Atrium.
Yep.
Imagine they have a wall of like all the pieces hung up so people can see last year's art. Like, and the fans can actually see it.
Yep.
I don't know about all the fans slapping it, but
maybe a little out of the reach.
right, or just the Jaguars one was the first one and the main one. That's
Sure.
the one that everyone kind of remembers right now. Travis Hunter slapping it.
Yep.
So I'm hoping that hopefully the NFL will hold on to them until next year's draft, and we can recreate something in the lobby there. I don't know. It's such a cool cultural moment to be even in the conversation of it is wild. I just look for the opportunity of like what's next with these pieces of art.
Well, to have family history with the NFL and then you to create new history with the NFL, like it doesn't get much more Midwest legend than that, man.
Yeah.
Like, you are it, man. So I just want to say too, I appreciate you coming on. You certainly are a Midwest legend. I loved hearing the stories just about your artwork, but like the family ties and the Midwest ties, man, that's awesome. And I think just like everyone got to hear about like where it really started in your family and just all this full circle stuff. It's great. Man.
Doesn't get much more Midwest than that. Yeah.
No, man.
Yeah.
So but thank you. Thanks for your time. Thanks for coming on. I appreciate it.
Appreciate you, man. Thank you.
Hey, wait, don't head out just yet. Do you have a story that's so Midwest it couldn't have happened anywhere else? Or do you know a Midwest legend in your own life? Give me a call at 866-MWLEGND. Your story may be featured on our future episode or on our socials. Looking forward to hearing your Midwest legends.